one thing which I have as a question when it comes to remote work is
Mhm.
how do you collaborate with other team members, other stakeholders, right? One of the biggest challenges which I've found is when the remote work started, right? Not everyone were ready for remote work.
Yes.
Not everyone was ready to have communication async. Not everyone were okay with working with people on different time zones. How do you tackle this challenge? How since you have been working remote for so long, how do you navigate through this?
Right. So it's mostly about I think, the culture of the company. So what I've noticed as Seller Cloud and other remote companies is the culture is async. And what I also noticed when companies started going remote uh, post COVID is that they were struggling. So they wanted to go remote, but it's a culture. So you have to bring everybody on board to make this work. You can't say, for example, there's a team of 10 people and five of them is super happy doing async communication, but five of them struggle. This won't work, more or less, because these five async ones would be like, hey, we are fine. We can schedule our work around mornings. I have a baby I need to take care, or I have a wife who I need to go out for dinner. Um, so they would be fine. But for people who are in async, the five people who want to do the sync work, they're like, no, I'm capping my work period from morning 10 to 5 or 6, and I would want to collaborate more there. So they wouldn't find these other five async people because they would be out. So, and I noticed that companies who have struggled here in India and abroad is they, the key piece that is missing is the mindset change from within the company to all the employees. Uh, until that's really done, I have seen uh, employees complain on social media, or my friends who are there in office companies, they all complain about, hey, this is really challenging. And for some people it's actually challenging who have families. So that's a key part of, like, you can't push everybody to do remote work. You shouldn't. Not everybody enjoys working from home in a corner office. um, so that's one aspect. The second aspect, so I'll now share how I have been collaborating. So as I said, this company and all the other remote companies who are remote first by nature, so they make sure that every communication is happening async. What I mean by that is, all the work that you do has to be in a online repository. You can't have your work, anything, even if you're thinking about some design direction, or if you want to give a thought about to someone's work, you can't do that in isolation because the whole team needs to work together. And in an office it works because you can just get a meeting room and do that. Here you can't. So the change there is, first is the mindset change, second is the tools that you need to ensure, and the habit you need to form. The third is the habit. You have to constantly work with these tools with the mindset of, hey, I need to, if I have a thought, or if I have a, like, for example, I'm exploring a design, I can't just send out to somebody on Slack. And for example, I go on leave the next day, someone else would want to know, hey, what did Sankalp work on, or what was the output from that exploration? And they would miss that, and they would be pinging me on my vacation or my leave day. So the idea is to put everything that you think or write or show in an online repository, and your whole team should be in a loop of, or if not loop, then they should have a link all the time that, hey, if you want to explore Sankalp's work, here's where you should go. Here's what Sankalp is working on. This is the link. So I'll touch base on how we do our collaboration from end to end. So and I think a good example would be how, when I'm starting a design sprint. So the first would be, we have an idea what we want to work on. So we capture everything in a Kanban board in Notion. So that's a online repository for what the whole team in the company, product team, is thinking about. So that could be new ideas, old ideas, customers who have asked some features, so on and so forth. So everybody has visibility on what the product team can work on. And then we have these columns in Kanban defined that, hey, these are the old backlogs ideas. The second one is discussion phase. So whenever we are discussing an idea, we move that to that column. So everybody again knows, okay, this is being discussed at the moment. Then third column is designing. So when we move to the design phase, which is I mostly do that in the company, is we move that then to the design process. So again, everybody has an idea. Hey, Sankalp is designing on this. This is in works. Then again, if that is moved to writing requirements when I'm done, and then dev handoff, and then done staging and so on in between. So that's how we gather the uh, 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 current state of design, at least from design perspective. And for example, I'll quickly give you an example of how devs do that. Devs do that on GitHub. So again, I have visibility if I go into GitHub. So there's I think Chrome extension from ZenHub for GitHub, which actually converts your issues into a Kanban board, which is great. So then I also have visibility of, okay, which other things devs are working on. Again, GitHub has these features of if you want to assign things to others. So I also have visibility on what devs are working on. So that's number one in that aspect of how I start the work. And when I'm designing, so in that Notion doc, I also make each issue or a feature a card. And if I'm working on that, I'll document, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Here are the designs that I explored. And I then copy that segment's link from Notion, put it on Slack group channel. Hey, these are the variations we tried. What are your feedback? And the feedback is again, team will go back and give those feedback to Notion, or that may sometimes happen on Slack. But again, this is again open to everybody to see. So even I'm rigorously and religiously jotting down my progress of what I'm working on, what I'm thinking, what are the variations I'm trying. Here's the final result. So there's a common source of truth for for discussions for everybody on the team. So I'll wrap this up. This became very long-winded, but I'll wrap this up by saying that if you want to do remote work, you have to do first. You have to do the mindset change towards async communication. Second is you have to uh, uh, log everything in a single repository. You could use various tools. And then third is that consistency part, which is you have to habituate yourselves to do this too all the time. And so far, from my experience, nobody has ever complained that, hey, Sankalp, you were on leave for 2 weeks or 1 week and we couldn't find that stuff, because it's always out there. And that's what I think the whole point of teamwork is. Like, if you're in office, how does the team gets work done? It's by collaboration. So if you're going remote work, doing async, you have to restructure the team in a way that they can actually collaborate. I think that's where a ton of companies have struggled. They think that if you flip the switch in a day, the collaboration would keep happening as it would. It would not, because because this switch is about async. It's not about sync. You can't expect everybody, and this could be different for you and me. Like uh, we have a room to ourselves, but it's not the same for everybody, right? People are living in smaller homes. They have a bigger family, uh, kids passing by, you have to go grab groceries and so forth, delivery guys coming up. So you have the sync work won't work if you're working from home. So you have to go async, or you can do a mix of both. But then again, that depends. For example, I've seen companies doing mixture of async and sync work, and you might have seen it's a buzzword going on LinkedIn these days, the flex work. So flex work meaning you can come to office for 2 days and you can work from home for 3 days. I'm not sure how that
Uh,
would work.
Hybrid
I
model.
I have my doubts about it, but to be yet to be seen. But point is whatever you plan as an organization, you have to bring everybody on board. Yeah.
True, true. Yeah, I definitely agree with those points because I've been on the other side of remote work, right? Which is, as you said, the switch was suddenly flipped and like in a day, and everyone were just asked to adjust with it. And that is completely true about the async part because I have noticed there are a couple of team members on my team who prefer doing work synchronously, but there are people who prefer doing async. And at the same time, I think the whole point of logging everything, keeping everything open, I think that's kind of where the whole idea of documentation becomes more and more important because until now you could just do something you could just sit down with a person and get it done, but
Yes.
now the whole idea of documentation has so much emphasis, right? Because it's not just the two people who is involved, but it's more it could be visible to everyone else.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Product Stories for more such episodes.